This is the right button to push.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
With the Bruce, the Yang, and Captain Socks.
Hello, future people, and you're again listening to episode 52 of Getting Tabled with your host, the Bruce.
That would be me. And right
And there
beside
is
me
no
over
Captain
here is
Socks.
the very confused George that's pressing the wrong button a year and a half after doing all of this.
No, I pushed the wrong button on the to go which app to go to, not the bumper app button. Yes, no Captain Socks. He has family obligations. That happens. I don't know what those would be like, since I've never missed an episode because of family obligations.
Yes, you have. It's just not very obvious to the audience because only our Patreons got to hear that recording.
If you're wondering, you should become a supporter, and you can hear the episode 51 where Bruce had a conversation with Tyler Durden. If you don't know what that means, I'm so sorry.
And for those of you that are going, but we've listened to episode 51, I was like, yes, the second version. And we referenced this during the recording of that.
Yes, there's two episodes 51. The first one
in one
is...
of them I sound like an idiot. And in the other one, even more so.
I was going to say, there's no difference between the episodes there, Bruce. So yeah, no Captain Socks. I guess Major Socks. I don't know. I don't feel like changing the bumper. I think Captain Socks is too good a nickname to change. So, well, we're going to make so much fun of him while he's not here because that's what we do.
We're going to have a major time doing it too. Major good
right.
time.
I can't do a pun based off that. Dang it. It's too hard to... I guess the field grade, of the joke is not that amazing. If you get that one, I'm gonna applaud you. Should we do this button right here?
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
So, news time. Gonna start off like most weeks with Games Workshop stuff. It's kind of a little bit quiet on the Games Workshop front this week. Given that last fortnight they had announced that they were going to take a break from releases, this is not super surprising. We've got a couple of things though. They are bringing out Lumineth rules for Warcry. I'm kind of surprised that it's taken them this long to do it, quite honestly.
Yeah, I figured with as new as that army was, that when they made that army, they would have been like, hey, we're going to do this thing, so let's just do these rules right now. And then when we release them, we can do it right now.
Especially when we're on, like, the third wave of releases for them now. Maybe fourth.
Yeah.
I don't know. They've teased that many things that I've forgotten what's released and what's not now.
Maybe it's a good thing they're taking a break from releases if we can't remember which release that was released in.
Yeah. So along with this, there's apparently some free fighter cards and a new campaign. I doubt anybody's going to be upset about a new campaign.
Wait, did you say free cards?
Free fighter cards.
So Games Workshop has done something and it's free.
I suspect that we're talking rules-wise and not money-wise. I don't think they're giving away anything for free. Although they do that, but not in this way.
No, but even like a card, I figured, it's Games Workshop. You're just like, you have to subscribe $5 to our app to access the PDF version in order to download and then print it.
To be fair, they give out cards in White Dwarf to con people into buying it half the time.
Okay, you're buying White Dwarf.
I know. So yeah, we're getting fighter cards. They are showing off a couple of them here in the article, but only a couple. Some really gorgeous art. And if you click on the link here, we have a 4-page document that is all of the cards. I stand corrected. Helps if I read things first. So no, they have given that away for free. Which includes the campaign and everything.
So yeah, as I was scrolling down here looking at this, the Forlorn Hope. The first thing that catches my eye, you know, miniatures, right? You know, that skeleton ghost zombie thing there.
Yes.
That is really stupid cool looking. Also, it has a bit too many ribs, I think. I don't think it's supposed to have that many ribs. I don't think we have... I don't think rib cages have that many ribs.
I'm actually curious, because I don't recognise the model. Oh, that's why I don't recognise it. That's a model that is from the Ossiarch Bone Reaper's Endless Spells kit.
Oh.
So that makes sense.
Endless Spells. Kind of like my pizza oven that I need to get.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought you had the pizza oven.
No, I haven't gotten any of the Endless Spells or the pizza oven for the Fire Slayers yet.
I
still have some Fire
Endless Spells. They're just still in the box untouched.
Except for like 3 boxes of my Fire Slayers, all of them are in the box untouched. So,
I got my pledge done. I need to work some more.
Yeah,
Anyway.
These things called jobs that prevent us from like sitting down all day and painting, they suck.
Yes.
We should just quit our jobs and then become financially destitute and not be able to buy more minis because we don't have jobs that give us money to buy more minis. But then all of our minis would be painted, and then we could go get another job. That sounds like a horrible cycle.
It would not last very long. Okay. The other thing that has been teased this week is a new elf model. This one is probably the first of the new elf models I've liked in a while, though, honestly. I don't know, they tend to be very Marmite, that you either love them or you hate them, a lot of the models. This still has kind of that weird oval over the head thingy, but it seems to, I don't know, it seems to work a little bit more with this mini.
I swear, it's like the Games Workshop sculpting people. They have to have a side bet going on with each other. Like, I can build the flimsiest model that looks amazing. Hold my beer.
Yeah. In saying that, though, those vines look plenty chunky. I think that'll actually hold up all right.
I'm talking about the arch above the head stuff. Because that's a large target floating above the model on tiny little things that, you know, I'm going to move. Oh, crap. I just backhanded your mini. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I do like the fact that there's a little friend coming out of one of the eggs, though. They seem to be doing this more and more, though, which personally, I would prefer that they were doing them occasionally, not every third or fourth release. Because they had that squirrel that was in the tree and a few other things as well recently.
Oh, this is for the Sylvaneth army.
Yes, there is more than one elf faction. That's why it looks like it's all wood elfy.
Yeah, it's for the actual tree folk people.
Yes.
First of all, I would love to see someone do the conversion I want to see for this mini is the little dude hatching out of the egg. I want to see it replaced with a facehugger xenomorph.
Oh God, yes.
I want to see someone. I want to see someone do that just because that would just be so cool. Like, look, I am playing my flute. Here's my facehugger. It will implant its egg in you.
I really like that.
Ignore the pain in your chest.
Yes, everything will be fine.
Cool looking mini. Having read that it's actually like Sylvaneth.
Yep.
It totally fits. If this was like some other elf thing, but Sylvaneth, like the leaf cape with the vines and the what are those the woad tattoos on the arm. Yeah,
Yes.
it makes sense.
Yeah, no, and that's where your vines and everything are coming from. These are probably the better looking vines they've done in a while. They haven't really done much with vines lately.
Vines are, you do them right or you do them really wrong.
Yeah, but
There's-
I like the barbs. That they do kind of feel like it's something that's natural. I can see people trying to steal these for Slanesh, because all you'd really have to do is paint them pink. You wouldn't have to do much. Maybe blunten the ends of them a little bit so it looks more like a tentacle and less like a vine. But I also suspect that would be a very expensive conversion.
That's probably be a pretty expensive to buy a hero mini
Just
to
base.
use the bottom third of it,
People do it though.
bottom fourth of it. You're
People
not
buy
wrong.
$100 kits for less than this.
I mean, yeah. Granted, it's a $2,000, Warlord Titan, but the people who go out and buy a Land Raider,
Yeah.
put it together, and then crush it under the foot. Like, okay, that's a $2,000 mini that you're just adding a $100 piece of terrain to, but still, it's
Yeah.
okay. $80 piece of terrain.
Yep. Moving on to TT Combat. We're big fans of TT Combat over here. Hence all our
Are
coverage
we?
on Drop Fleet and everything.
Oh, is that the outfit run by Lewis and Lewis?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, the company that paid for CGI to pretend that there was two people instead of one.
Because we haven't seen him since, 2 years ago, like in the same room together.
I'm sure that he's just conveniently busy in an office and doesn't get a chance to look in front of the camera.
We have
If
dudes
you know
riding
where this
ostriches.
conversation is coming from, then you know where this conversation is coming from.
I can just picture Lewis in his drive home now, and just like, I hate you guys.
Oh dear. Okay, Carnivale is getting some gorgeous new releases. I don't think I've ever even thought about racing ostriches, and now I just want to own several of them because these things are awesome. Like, there is nothing about this that is not cool. They are racing ostriches, and they have hammers, and this is cool.
Bruce, I'm gonna say something controversial here.
Yes.
All this is Assassin's Creed giving you the birds. Look at it. They look like a couple of them look like they're the Assassin's Creed assassin on an ostrich.
You do realize that Assassin's Creed's uniform is not unique to Assassin's Creed, right?
Yes, but it's the popular pop culture reference right now.
Yes, I know.
Well, yeah. So, no, these
Further
look really
down, there's
cool.
people that don't look like they're assassins. The people up the top are from essentially the Thieves Guild. That's why they look the way they do. And it's not an accidental. This is a look that has existed. I actually want to say maybe before Assassin's Creed. I'd have to check to see when Carnivale was first released. Because you've got to remember, this is a game that was purchased by TT Combat.
Sure. Oh yeah, and if you scroll down, the dude with the two rapiers and the red cloak and waist belt and
Oh yeah. Now that is a remake of a model that we've had once before.
and the what are those called? Is that a death mask?
Yes,
it's
well, it's a plague mask, sort of.
plague. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. I was thinking, the death mask was, an Italian thing, and Carnivale is Venice, Italian themed.
Yes.
Some more terrain. I have no idea where you're at on your discussion of the. I'm just scrolling through quickly and looking at
It's all good. So
all the prettiness.
their terrain for this game just continues to be incredible.
Their terrain, just in general, continues to be incredible.
Well, yes. The Streets of Venice are the kits that we've shown off a couple of times, where it's all modular and stuff, and you can create like a battle over rivers and stuff because, you know, it's Venice. I like the fact that we got some broken bridges now.
Well, and some of these are sunken buildings. Like,
Yep.
they're going to lay at an angle on the table like they're submerged.
Which is all kinds of cool. So, Carnivale was first created in 2017. So no, it doesn't come before Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it's I'd say my favorite mini here is the butcher with the giant steak hanging off his belt.
Which of the butchers was that one? Hang on, I'm going back up.
It's the left-hand one.
I can understand why you'd like that. My favourite is the racing ostrich where he has a giant mallet.
Let me look at that one real quick. Ooh, if you do it just right, you could totally make that look like Harley Quinn.
Yeah, true. You'd have to do a head swap though.
It'd have to be Harley Quinn from the comics, not the movies. Which that's fine because Harley Quinn from the comics is from the cartoon. Harley Quinn from the cartoon is superior to Harley Quinn in the movies. I said it. Fight me. I don't care.
Original is hard to top sometimes.
But yeah, you could totally do that up to make like, you know, you don't even really need to do that much of a head swap, really.
No, you just need to change a couple of things out. You could probably get away with some of. I mean, you could just paint it to be Harley Quinn. It doesn't really matter how accurate it is. It could just be representative. Moving on to more TT combat stuff, though. And we're moving back into the halflings.
Dude, some of these are just... Oh, God.
Now, last episode we were talking about one of their competitors, Mantic, having released some halflings, and they were more serious. Now we're really going to get an idea of what I was trying to say, because everything about these guys is all full of character. And I would argue that most people would have George's reaction when they first look at them.
I mean, the gladiator halfling and the cleric, and when I say cleric, I mean like your D&D, you know, I will smite thee with my mighty hammer, blessed by my god, cleric.
Yeah, these are
like
all
those
specifically for.
But no, you go down, and then you have freaking samurai halfling, ninja halfling, and then Buddhist halfling.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I can pick a favourite from these, honestly. It might be the monk. I kind of like the fact that this what do you call the characters where all they do is sing and stuff?
Bards.
Bards. I like the fact that bard. You could almost have that bard as someone that was cross-dressing or something. All you'd need to do is change how the paint's done.
Or the opera one, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Because that is totally an opera singing bard halfling.
Yeah. I think my favourite is the Buddhist monk, though. Clearly a member of the Wu-Tang Clan.
To me, it's a toss-up. It's a toss-up between the cleric and probably the samurai. One, I would just love to hear someone role play a samurai halfling.
Yeah.
And the cleric halfling. I mean, like, in reality, that book's a little too small. They should have made that book bigger because they're not going to make, you know, back then when books were, you know, written by hand and expensive, they're not going to make a halfling-sized book. It's going to be a normal human-sized book, and this halfling is going to be like, check out my tome. It's bigger than yours.
Yeah, but you got to remember that this comes from a world where there's an entire civilization of halflings that are doing things for themselves. I do get what you're saying, though.
Yeah. The hammer is comically huge enough though for the.
I have to admit, I really like what I'm assuming is Lewis's joke down here at the bottom. Ninja throws smoke bomb. Pie goes missing.
I mean, if a halfling was a ninja, that's what a ninja halfling would do.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It would pilfer your pies.
I also want to point out that each of these packs is only £15.
Well, they're halflings. I mean, that's, you know.
That's scarily good value. That's 10 minis for £30. That's really good value. I really like this stuff.
These are really good looking halflings. I think with all the variety of halflings available through TT Combat, someone out there just needs to do like, you know, D&D campaign.
Oh yeah.
You're a halfling. You're a halfling. Here are your choices.
Yeah.
Go. Where is this battleship tease or battlecruiser tease? Go ahead, talk about the battlecruisers. I'll get the link here.
Yep. So we've got new battlecruisers that are incoming. This news is not new. We have known this for a while. But we're actually getting views of the painted versions of them being completed. So we've got views of the gorgeous looking PHR battlecruiser.
Does it have some long, smooth, swooping holes?
Yep. Yep. Along with another one that has a really big, giant gun on the side of it. We also get a look at some UCM stuff, which again is just gorgeous. And gorgeous. And a Shaltari one that is also gorgeous. Sadly, for the first time in a long time, the Scourge don't win this because there's no pictures of the Scourge.
That's because there is no Scourge.
No, their teasers are coming in a future video.
No, there's no Scourge because that's just a it's a campaign to, you know, convince humankind that the Scourge threat does not exist.
Oh yeah, no, there is no Scourge. Like, the Battle for Earth is just it's all propaganda. That's all it is. Nobody stole Earth. We've ruined it. Like, there is no Scourge that's stolen it from us. It's all made up by the man trying to take us down. That's what it all is.
So, not gonna lie, I am not impressed with that PHR.
I like it personally.
The UCM looks more like the pre-conquest PHR UCM stuff.
Mm.
Oh, there it is. I see the UCM now. It's just gray.
Yeah.
The
one that you were just referring to, I suspect, is Resistance.
Resisty.
That too? Yeah, that's the Resistance battlecruiser.
Wait.
But the further one down.
These are the like. So you got dreadnoughts, battleships, battlecruisers. So it's another like super heavies or heavies or whatever.
These are yes, yeah. So this is more that will be fitting into the category that we'll be talking about later today.
Yeah. I would really like to see the impel be used more by the Shaltari. I think it's underutilized.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, the Scourge looks absolutely terrible just because there's no Scourge.
Yes, I'm very disappointed. Lewis, your lack of Scourge is disappointing to me. Even though the Scourge doesn't exist and it's all made up just to keep the man down.
Yeah. It's like, you know, the Goa'uld saying that they're gods. It's just propaganda.
Yeah, it's like it's all made up because we're in denial about what we did to our own planet, so we had to create a villain that did it on us.
Next up, we have some Dystopian War goodness.
Yeah, this is really starting to pump out now. This one's still on pre-order. I am starting to question whether this is coming too fast now, though. In saying that, it's rushing along. I'm hilarious. So this is a starter set for the Russian. I'm gonna say Mohusky.
That's Polish.
Well, it says that it's Russian in the law. Mother Russia. It's right there on the page.
Yeah, but they spell toboggan SKI.
I didn't write the law. So this is all hard plastic again. This one actually comes with some flyers, which is interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say, this one has some flyers, and I'm liking how they're... If you look at the, I guess the first picture that shows the maze... well, no, I guess not. What are these? SRS tokens. Oh, those are flyers. That is really hard to see, but there are little flyers on those tokens.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's really hard to see.
Yeah, but it'll be easier to see when you paint them. That's what the paint is for.
Wait, people can paint their stuff? How? Do they have time for that?
With a brush or an airbrush.
But they have time for that?
Yes.
Oh.
I don't know how. Yes.
I love the look of the Katanga class option for the cruiser.
The one I just pulled up.
Wow, that's perfect. Just because it's got that screw looking head, kind of like
Yeah.
I'm gonna ram you and then I'm gonna drill into your ship and sink you.
Yeah.
That there's no question about it. Looks like it has a rail gun.
That's my guess too. And the big one, I think, has to be an aircraft carrier.
Well, yeah, it says carrier.
Oh, does it? Oh, it does too.
Yeah, it says class fleet carrier. And then there's a little plane on the flight deck.
The little plane I did see. That's why I said it has to be a carrier. The little plane on the deck doesn't have any wheels, though. But that's just...
Maybe it crashed. Or maybe it's a picture like, this is for planes.
Possibly.
Planes go here.
Or maybe it just wasn't worth doing a separate piece for it. Of the flyers...
It's the same flyer.
Yeah, it is too. Never mind, it's just one space.
It's front and back view.
I don't mind the look of the flyer, honestly.
It's got a futuristic, Victorian look. The one thing I would kind of question, regardless what era it's from, is the bombs mounted on the front. Like really, you're gonna have bombs mounted like that? Really?
Yeah, because that's never going to end well.
Yeah, no.
I have suspicions though that maybe that's just for show. Like maybe they come out from the side and then drop. Maybe.
Oh, like a depth charge bomb, kind of.
Yeah, like maybe they're not like that all of the time, but then they're still being stored in the front. So yeah, that doesn't really help. Yeah.
Moving on, because now I really want to talk about this.
Is this Ichiko?
Yes, the legendary Ichiko.
Yeah. The moment I saw this, my reaction was, and Michelle laughed at me when I said this, was I want to buy this. The moment I saw it, I wanted to own it. There's just no question about it. I want this model. So bad.
Want?
Oh, yeah. So,
everything about this...
What's the pet's name from Thundercats?
Snarf.
Snarf. Snarf has gone feral. This is from the same faction that is totally not Thundercats. Snarf has gone feral. Either the Snarf and Battlecat got together and had a kid.
Yeah, I was gonna say this. This looks like a gorilla cat kind of thing, like the massive upper body and forearms and the lean power, back end of a cat. And oh yeah, then there's some dude with a stick, that's got some cojones to ride on this awesome looking beast.
Yeah.
It's
stuff like this that gets us into miniatures.
Oh. Yeah, this is a amazing looking mini. I still don't need it. No Wild West Exodus. Bad George.
I know somebody that's selling some stuff. None of this, though.
Yeah, I know. Shush. Wait, no, you're over here. Shush.
Come to the dark side. It's either this or Bushido. You have to make your choice.
No.
The answer is both. And this one's only £25. It's not a bad value.
That's honestly, from what I've seen of Wild West Exodus and everything, that seems to be like the average number. Like these seem like like everything's a hero model, so to speak. So it's it's that price per mini. So
everything isn't they do have like just regular peons, but everything that you're buying separate like this is a character.
Yeah. So I don't need any more reasons to want this game, but yeah. Next on the list,
we'll talk about something else just for a bit. But George, you should totally be tempted.
Yeah. Next on the list, I know you're excited about this. I'm partially excited about this, although I'm a little kind of like after the last Kickstarter book. Now I know there's reasons of why, but Dave Tyler's back with the first of 3 volumes. So it sounds like there's going to be more coming.
Yes.
The art
in this particular one, you can get the first 3 if you pledge for that. So Dave Taylor, just because you've said something without explaining it, Dave Taylor is the guy that helped the Terrain Tutor get his book done. He also had a book before that. I own both of those books, hence the reason why I'm excited on this, because it's a continuation of a series for me. So, stating the obvious, the Terrain Tutor book ended up being about a year late, roughly. Not quite a year; it was close to it, though.
Year and a half.
For a number of reasons. Obviously, COVID affected it. Terrain Tutor's real life things affected it as well. His health wasn't good for a while, and there was a breakup in a marriage. So, like, all of the delays that George is referring to are for legitimate reasons.
Right, and I can't fault that. I was just...
No, I know. I'm just explaining because we've said there's delays and didn't explain what it was. So Dave Taylor has been doing books for a little while now. This particular one is just about the art of miniatures. So these first couple are from Christoph Kyle, Anna Polenskak, I'm probably saying that wrong, and Miniature Monthly. They are available as electronic versions and the actual book versions. Obviously, it's up to you if this is something you want, how you get it, and everything. But this is all based around the art that you tend to get from miniature games and so forth. This is very much going to be something that you're either going to be interested in or you won't be interested in. There is tutorials and stuff on how people have achieved the things that they're looking at. And there's just general unlocks for like page quality and so on and so forth.
Well, I think the most important one is the $27,000 one, which is upgrades everything from a softback to a hardback.
Yes.
If you're going to tell me, hey, spend where to go, spend $90 on 3 softback books. No. Spend $90 on 3 hardback books. Okay.
We've already reached it.
Yeah. My issues aside and everything, the fact that, the Terrain Tutor is, was successful. It was shipped. It was extremely late. My gripe was it's a book. How much of this, should have already been done in the first place as the prototype per Kickstarter rules.
Yeah. The issue with that was that, yes, they hadn't written it beforehand. They hadn't said that they did either, though. It's not unusual for books not to be finished beforehand. Comics tend to be finished beforehand. And then it's just processing time. Sometimes you got to wait for the colouring to be done. But yeah, look, it is what it is. I'm definitely excited for this one personally. I meant to log out of my Kickstarter account before we talked about this, but I forgot to because I didn't want to point out that I am pledging. But yes, I am pledging. People watching the video will notice that. But that's alright. So yeah. The only downside of this particular book series is this is really something that people are either going to be interested in or they're not. This is not a learn how to make terrain book. This is not a learn how to paint armies. I mean, there is sections of the book that will be for that, but the art of miniatures is not as widespreadly after. It's not as widespreadly sought after as tutorial type stuff is. But it seems to be going well, so that's good. Do you like orc warbands?
Not particularly. They are usually hordes, and I have a hard time killing them.
Well, this one only has 5 members. And it is the most banned of all warbands.
That is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was scrolling through this page and everything, and up at the top, there's the large image. That's totally not a different sculpt of Grasgull or Grasskull or what the orc from the Ragnar Blackmane box.
Okay, yeah, Gazgul, yeah.
Yeah, Gazgul, yeah. It's totally not an alternate sculpt up there of that.
I don't think he'd be big enough though, would he?
Well, considering that if you figured those other minis, if they're 28
that one.
mil.
Oh, okay, sorry. I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this particular one that we're looking at is literally a band of orcs.
Literally.
Yeah, it feels. They've tried to go with a theme that all seem to coming from different bands. I mean, there's definitely Slash in the background there. This is definitely Gene Simmons here in the front. I want to say is it Axl Rotten that's the lead singer of the Sex Pistols?
Guns N' Roses.
What's the Sex Pistols guy's name then?
I can't remember.
Anyway, that's who that reminds me of, personally.
So you want to hear my one little tiny complaint?
What's your complaint?
The orc on the drums. The drum kit's not big enough.
That's fair.
I mean, it's a. Look at the larger image of it, and it's skin over a tire, an empty 55-gallon drum, and then a bass with a cymbal. That's not. An orc warband's going to have more of a drum kit than that.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is pretty cool, though. I'm not going to lie.
It's just
fun. Oh, hey. The guy's name is Lash.
Yeah.
Not, and it's a chainsword axe.
I have a feeling that all of these names are actually going to be loosely who they're based on. Flamaha.
Well, that's a take on Yamaha.
Oh, yes, of course it is.
I don't know.
The Gene Simmons one might be my favourite, though, personally. Oh, and there's different versions of the hands. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, like the singer, he's either throwing up devil horns or has a gun, or yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and you can change Lash out for just a regular head, though I don't know why you would.
Yeah,
maybe you don't want to be quite that obvious, I suppose. Oh, no, you can just take it off. Okay. So the saw on the guitar, if you don't want them to be on the battlefield, you can just make it a band. That makes sense.
No, an orc in a band is going to have a chainsaw sword.
Of course he is.
Just to play, screw the battlefield. This is probably one of the most fun looking mini sets I've seen. Also the price, $49.
Yeah, no, this is dirt cheap.
We'll just call it $40. It's $40. You get 5. Wait, yeah, you get 5 minis.
Yeah.
That is a screaming deal for something like this.
For those watching the video, yes, this is on sale, but the full price is still only $45. It's still insanely cheap.
Ooh, $45. You know how you get an extra $5? Don't go buy a coffee.
Yep. Artel Miniatures have some really insanely good sculpts. They have quite a few alternate models for large sci-fi games that might be made by a workshop that make games. Some of which have been advertised fairly heavily, some that haven't. I would not say that Artel are an indie company, but they're certainly not a games workshop. Let's put it that way. And I'm just quickly browsing through this for the video feed, just to give people an idea of just how much stuff these guys have. It's insane. But yeah. Moving
54
on.
mil scales. Wow.
Oh, it's insane, yeah.
Paint line. Ooh, Iron Rider? What?
So while George continues to get lost, I'm going to move on.
Sorry, I just found my war chief for Speed Freaks Army. Yes, moving on. Destruction.
Atlantis Miniatures are a company they're a company I backed on Kickstarter a while ago for resin minis. They were the really gorgeous looking resin miniatures where I had the war bear and stuff. This is a long time ago now. They have joined the we're going to sell subscriptions for 3D printing parts bandwagon. This first month, and it's another one that's $10 a month, comes with a Frost Giant, a Frost Ogre Troll thingy. That might be my favourite of the bunch, I think. Everything in here is snow and ice themed, and it's all gorgeous. I really love these. The
Walrus.
Walrus men, guys. That war bear, I have a version of that. It's not this. It's just a version of it. It's based on the mini that I have, loosely.
Yeah. I was going to say that war bear with the dual
oh, yeah. That
axes. Yeah, that guy looks like he's ready for some serious business. I think the Snow Giant dude is probably my favorite one, just because he's so, like, Norse-esque.
Yeah.
You scale that down from his height to, a standard 28 mil height, and you would have, like, a perfect Viking,
Actually,
right
yeah,
there.
That's actually not a bad point. You got a couple of freebies that you can get access to if you sign up for the newsletter. They are When these things are eventually released to the public, in total, everything will cost you $45. So that's what they intend to price them at the end of the day, not in the subscription. The subscription is $10 a month. So you're going to have the same thing with this that you're going to have with all of these subscription services, where you're going to get really good value, but there's no real guarantee what you're going to be getting every month, because obviously you don't know what's coming next month. Normally they will usually give teasers for what's coming the following month before the month is over, so that you can then make your decisions. Obviously, if you don't have access to a 3D printer or someone that owns one, then this is probably not for you. But if you do have access to one, then this might be worth your look, because these are gorgeous. And they do fit well with the Atlantis Miniatures previous stuff. Like I said,
was going to say,
the
some
bear
of these
that's
could...
standing up, not the walking one, the one that's standing up. I have a version of that in resin. It's not the same. The pose is different, but yeah.
I was going to say some of these could fit into a destruction, you know, with the big ice mammoth things for Sigmar.
Yes, yes.
And totally see these fitting into that pretty easily.
George. Click.
Bruce.
Oh, that's not you.
I'm me. This is me.
Click that link.
On the Facebookie?
Yep. So for those watching at home, this is the miniature that I own. Well, one of them. I own several of their miniatures, but this is the one that I have. Which is... It's a bear that looks like it has a six-pack. I mean, seriously, this thing is nuts.
That looks like the love child of a bear and a gorilla.
Yeah, I could see that. Oh, they've got an armoured bear. I haven't seen that. They also have, arguably, the most gorgeous werewolves I've ever seen. This is another one of those companies that if you're into high-quality resin stuff, this is worth looking into. This isn't so much news, though, as that it's just information, given that we were talking about something else that they're doing. But if you're looking at these guys, the first thing you're going to notice is that these guys are not cheap. You will be paying for it.
Alrighty, so are we ready for this next bit here?
Indie. Definition. Independent. Type. Slang word. Jargon.
Alright, so, aiming for the
Lizardman
indie.
army?
Sorry?
This straight up looks like a Lizardman army.
It's several different armies.
Well, okay, so the link I click, it looks like Lizardman.
Yes. But
Yeah.
the banner up the top will actually show you that they have several different ranges. There is definitely not Chaos. There is definitely not Empire of the Dead. What were they called? The Egyptian undead guys from fantasy.
Tomb Kings.
Tomb Kings, thank you. Definitely not Tomb Kings. And then there's some fantasy Norse type thing that have dragons with feathers. And yeah, there's really gorgeous looking lizardmen. The lizardmen are their most recent thing, I believe, by the look of this. Because this is all new stuff.
Infernal Dwarves?
And yes, this is exactly what I wanted to look at. Now, we have discussed Lost Kingdom once before. I believe we actually spoke about their lizardmen during the news at one point and said that we would come back and cover these guys in more depth, which is why we have them. So, this Chaos Dwarf army is... Oh, I want everything to do with this. These are all STL files, so this is all for 3D printing. But this is just all kinds of gorgeous.
These are better Chaos Dwarves than actual Chaos Dwarves.
I have said for a long time that I don't like the big hats. And even the ones that do have big hats on this actually feel like they are real hats.
Oh my god. Go to page 3 of the Infernal Dwarves and you'll see the prisoners.
Oh. And they have all kinds of prisoners. That is awesome.
I mean, that's...
The God King is quite interesting as well. Look at how repulsive he is.
I will point out on the prisoners, the only one that's being stoic about it is the dwarf.
Oh, yeah.
The two humans are just like, no.
And he's just like, is that all you got? Oh, there's more prisoners.
You will not break my soul.
There's also impaled prisoners further down.
What?
Yeah. Oh, this is just all kinds of nuts.
Come on, there we go.
Chaos Dwarves are one of those things that a lot of people like, but it's really hard to get into them because there's not a lot going around as far as the rules is concerned. Kings of War is your friend if you want to play something with Chaos Dwarves.
Yeah. And for a while there too, the only minis you could get are, you know, a few $100 of Forge World, and it was just essentially one unit.
Yeah, and they were, to be fair, they weren't the groundbreaking minis that they used to be.
No. The cannon and the ballista, holy cow, those look cool. And that, dude. Oh, the last page just... Ooh. Elite Guard Commander on Bull. That is a cool looking mini.
Yeah.
Let me blow him up a little bit. Dang. See, these hats these Chaos Dwarves have, they're much more like, instead of Cossack hats, they're like actual like chaosy kind of hats.
They actually feel like they belong, yeah. The thing I didn't like about the Chaos Dwarves, despite really loving their lore, was they didn't really look... They just looked off. The helmets... The hats just looked stupid on the minis. Now, I know that there are people out there that are fans of them. I'm just not one of them, and I never have been. I've never been secret about that. Despite the fact that I have always loved them. I've had this conversation in the middle of a White Dwarf with staff.
I will say the whole concept of they're Chaos Dwarves because they're wearing Cossack hats. That's really lame. Like, oh hey, thunder.
So I have moved on to the Undying. What is it called? Undying Dynasties.
Tomb Kings, not Tomb Kings.
Yeah, not Tomb Kings. These guys have undead camels.
Well, that's a zombie you don't see a lot of.
Amotep the Terrible on an Amit is like... So the Amit is one of the old Egyptian monsters, which is like a giant crocodile beast-looking thing.
With like dog legs so it could actually run fast.
Yeah. The Canopic Hero, that mummy is just awesome.
Look at the Canopic Sorcerer.
Oh, and there's an undead... That is not unusual, but like the undead elephant is awesome.
Khufu ship.
Oh,
Whoa.
that sorcerer so much.
look at the Khufu ship, and like the sarcophagus is opening with the mummy like levitating out.
I love the fact that all of the sand looks like it's sand. The Bone Colossus is really nice.
I can see with the sand, like this being like 3D printing stuff, like the sand is like a, you know, like an advantage to the print where you don't need to worry about the resolution so much because you want that to kind of look a little crappy like it is sand.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's all just going to be texture. On the next page, the artifact
Scorpion's
catapult.
cursed.
Yep.
Oh.
Hey, this is what Dwayne Johnson should have looked like in that movie. Or maybe not. That probably wouldn't have looked much better. But still.
That is kind of what he looked like in the movie, but you know, with his face, not that face. This is really good looking stuff here.
Yeah.
For
those watching the video, I am deliberately ignoring the Saurian stuff because we've covered it once before. The last thing I'm going to have a very brief look at is the Kingdom of Mercia, which is currently up as a late pledge for a Kickstarter that they've run recently.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I see it now.
And this stuff is, again, it's just all gorgeous. Pegasi. I'm pretty sure this dragon-looking thing is supposed to be their version of a griffin. I know that's not what a griffin looks like, but I'm just thinking rules-wise that's what it's supposed to be. Unless it's just a feathered dragon. I mean, it could just be a feathered dragon. But, again, just absolutely stunning. So, yeah. There's a lot of really, really gorgeous things here. Of all of them, personally, I think it's... As much as I lose myself in the Infernal Dwarves, I actually think the Undying Dynasties do it for me. Just because there's so much in that I haven't seen done that well. I mean, the Infernal Dwarves is the best Chaos Dwarves I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But the Undying Dynasties just takes that theme so much further. It feels so much better than what we've seen in the past. And the Tomb King stuff wasn't bad. Like, there's a reason everybody complains that it's gone.
Right.
This is just so much better.
Yeah, so... And like I said, it looks good. I think it's awesome, but unless there's rules for it, you know, it's still just, you know, a bunch of minis to print.
There is rules in Kings of War for it.
Oh, there is? Okay, well then I stand corrected.
Yeah. Same
then.
with the Infernal Dwarves. So yeah, that's aiming for the end of this week. We did say that we were going to come back and have a closer look at them at a later stage. I hope that you're happy that we now finally have. Let's move on to hobby time.
Stream, glue, drying, paint.
So what have you been up to, George?
Reading Kickstarter updates.
This is for your Hell? No, not the other one.
No, Hell on Massive Darkness 2, Little Tiny Trains, something else had an update. Oh my god, I can't remember what it's called. I don't even think we talked about this one. It's pretty cool though. And I got it mainly because I think it'd be a great game to play with Sam. Darwin's Journey.
Okay.
So Darwin's Journey is like a resource building game, but it's based off of Charles Darwin's travels through the Galapagos Islands.
Ah, okay.
So that I read that and I was just like, it was like a €70 all in for the collector's edition. I was just like, yeah, no, that's easy.
Seems fair.
I mean, if it follows 70% of the actual stories and stuff like that of what he actually did, it'll be a fairly educational game too.
Yeah.
So pretty much just reading updates and stuff like that. I've had a horde week of stuff going on. Stuff. I have games coming. I'm excited. I still have this stuff. I still have this stuff on the bench waiting for me to sit down and actually start painting it. So hopefully I can get to that here this week.
Yeah.
If I don't become violently ill from my second COVID stab, and before I go on a little trip over the weekend.
Nice. Well, I've actually done... Now, cast your mind back before the dark times. Do you remember what it used to be like to play games with actual people? Do you remember?
Yeah, I did that like a month and a half ago with Blood Bowl.
I haven't had the chance to, not only because of COVID, to be fair, it's also been because of work and just, I haven't had a lot of time to do much, as you already know. But, moving back onto things that tempt you, oh my god, this game's fun.
Is it?
Oh god, yes. I lost really, really badly, but that shouldn't surprise anybody because my dice suck.
I was gonna say, if dice rolls are involved, you lose. That's how games work for you.
Pretty much. To be fair, it wasn't all that this time. There were some bad decisions I made tactically because, I'm trying to learn a game and I'm playing with a faction that I don't know very well because I've never used them. I could have done something really, really cool, but I made a decision that meant that I couldn't do it because I didn't know I had to do something first. Lot of fun, though. The close combat mechanics in this really feel good. It feels very even. Tactically, it feels like it makes a lot of sense. The Ito clan, which is the one that I have, I would probably argue is not a very easy faction to start with. But I don't regret starting there because it's the one that I wanted. The Minimoto crew, which is the one that I was facing up against, definitely feels like it's a lot easier to play with to begin with. That is not something that surprised me because it's something the community always talks about, how easy they are to play with. And they feel very different, which is obviously important too. The other thing that I've been doing this week is I finally started building up my cursed city. And...
Oh, did you?
Yes. Now, in my review, which apparently is just an unboxing, which is fine, I pointed out the differences between this model, how you build it in the box, as opposed to the errata that they've included in the box. I have some further thoughts on this mini in particular. In my opinion, the reason we have an errata for this is not just because the instructions were wrong. Honestly, I think the kit for this was wrong to begin with. I think they've completely messed up this miniature. You have the two body halves that go together, and then you have to insert a pin from the outside through that plugs into the front of the body so that backpack can go on without having to be glued. It doesn't work. It's really stupid and moronic. And quite frankly, it's just easier to glue the back on anyway. There also appears to be a piece missing. Unless mine was broken. I don't know how clear that's... Oh, I'm going to have to turn the thingy off.
Your filter.
I don't know how clear this is going to be, but...
It's mostly there.
The cable there doesn't connect to the backpack. Now that's caused by either one of two things. Either one of these is broken in the box and the pieces somewhere, or it was never built properly to begin with. There's definitely nothing on the sprue. I haven't missed a part. I suspect that it's been broken inside the box, which is something that happens. But at the same time, I can't seem to find... Like, it doesn't appear to be broken. There's an end point on this one that's flat. And there is a little bit of sprue gate left over on the other one. Honestly, I think they've just screwed this up massively. And I do mean massively. I mean, it still looks fine. But that is very obviously a mistake. I haven't finished building everything yet. But I'm getting there. But that's the only massive criticism I have. And I don't know, I might be taking it too far, but it's possible that I've screwed up somehow. But there's definitely not a missing piece. Other than the pin that goes to the backpack into the middle, which I gave up on because there's just no point. It's just easier to super glue it. Like, no, dead serious. It's easier just to super glue the thing on.
Oh, yeah, no. Sometimes some of the stuff
is
just
kind of
like
a pin that goes like this, and then you're supposed to plug that through this bit to then plug into a plug on the other side. And all it does is add a plug onto the back that the backpack plugs into. That's all it does. It's just moronic.
Yeah.
It's very clearly been an oversight in the model that they've scraped together at the last minute trying to figure out how to fix it.
Yeah.
And of all companies, Games Workshop, no excuse for that crap.
So, you also put a note in here, you've stripped your first model?
I have. And I have it here. This is soapy water. And this has been sitting in here for a week. And George is sitting here going, that won't work, Jason. You can't just put something in soapy water and it'll strip it. But I have something for you, George. Does that look stripped to you?
Looks pretty stripped to me.
Yeah. There was a process before I put it in the soapy water. I'm being a smart ass.
Oh.
I've literally just used paint thinner on this. Like the stuff that you get from the hardware store. It's worked really well.
Here's my process, Bruce.
Yes, I know, but I can't get that. This is
what?
the
I
really
can't either.
Powerful crap that you can just paint on, and the paint kind of comes like glue and then just comes off. The downside is that you can't use it on plastic. You can't use it on resin. This base is completely stuffed. And it stinks to high. Like, this still stinks. Now. It's not something that you can just put your mini in and leave it bathing in, which is what I would prefer. This is the process that my housemate does to do his. I said that I was going to follow up with him and ask him how he does his stuff so that I could kind of figure out if this is the way I want to do it or not. Realistically, I don't think this is the way I want to do it. I mean, it's not hard, but the stuff stinks to high heaven, and it gave me a headache for days. But let me do this again. But all of the details there.
Yep.
Like most things, I mean, you can just get an idea of the paint that's left over. But once this is dried and repainted, you're never going to see it.
So, Bruce, one thing you might be able to get your hands on that I have used in the past that does work. I don't know about resin. I do know it does work for hard plastic. .3 brake fluid.
Not the first person to mention that.
I've used it, so I mentioned from experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
no,
smell of
stripping
that like?
minis, huh?
What's the smell of that like?
Brake fluid.
Yeah.
It smells like brake fluid. It does have an odor to it, but it's not like a harsh chemical like an acetone or paint stripper smell.
Yeah. Give me a second.
It's like a.
I'm gonna grab what I was actually using, just in case people are curious. George, I've officially been told I'm wrong about Chaos Dwarf hats.
Yeah.
This is what I'm using. It's literally just an all-purpose thinner from the hardware store. Like this,
Okay.
It's just designed to strip paint. Which is also the reason why it stinks to high heaven, because yes, it's a very... To the point where I've been using it with very thick rubber gloves. You don't want this on your skin. Because it won't end well.
Yeah, the brake fluid, it just has a bit of an acrid, oily smell. So I mean, it's nothing like super strong and permeating. You will smell it, but it's one of those things where you can toss the mini in, you come back a week later, and then you start scrubbing and cleaning it. So
I was told, and I'm literally going to quote. This is my housemate's follow up from our earlier conversation. Chaos Dwarf silly hats are compulsory and mandatory. It's okay, Steve. You're allowed to be wrong. Like, all in all, I mean, I could do this. But there's part of me that really just wants to sit there, put some stuff in a vat, and then come back a day later and wash it
and then
off.
work on it. Yeah. No.
As opposed to, I'm sitting here with a brush that's slowly disintegrating over my model. Because of how powerful the chemical is.
Yeah,
I probably should have done it outside, to be fair. I probably should have done that. But look, it's something I wanted to do. It wasn't overly expensive. I think it was like $15 or $20 for the whole tin of that. But I would love to just be able to do that.
You want to know how long these have been sitting in here?
By the look of it, weeks.
Better part of 8 months now.
What is that?
What?
What's the chemical?
It's that super clean stuff that you can't get.
Ah, okay. I just wasn't sure if that's what it was or not.
Somehow the sound was reflecting off my jar there just right. I was getting like a metal sound from it. It was weird. I will say this right now. In the hobby world, if you want to make some money, you come up with a way that will flawlessly strip paint off of metal, plastic, and resin minis without damaging them.
Yeah.
If you can come up with that, you can charge $50 a gallon for it. People will buy it because, it's a thing, you go to eBay and like, oh, hey, someone put this together and like half painted it like crap, but they're only wanting $20 for it. I could buy that and strip the paint off and paint it up how I want it.
The downside, I mean, there are products that are out there. To me, I have a couple, but they're not available in all countries, which is your first
right.
problem,
Yeah,
because some of these are powerful chemicals that are outlawed in certain places.
Which is funny because there's one that I've seen on a couple pages that it's available in the UK, and there's nothing like it here in the US. Which is funny because if you look at like a country to country comparison of like what chemicals are allowed and what aren't, the United States is just like, hey, as long as it doesn't eat through your skin in 5 seconds, it's allowed.
Yeah. It's apparently you can get it in, but nobody will stock it. Therefore, it becomes very expensive.
Yeah.
I think it's the US. It might be Canada. I'm not 100% sure. But I've definitely seen it. However, shall we do some game talk?
This? Wait, this.
Talk nerdy to me.
All right. So we are returning to our beloved Drop Fleet Commander today. And we are finally talking about the battle cruisers.
cruisers.
So, I will start with the UCM and the Scourge, and you can cover the other two.
Okay, that would be the PHR and the Shaltari.
Yes.
I don't know if I can do the Shaltari. I don't know anything about them.
Well, you'll have to learn. So, first things first. This one has pictures. Yay!
I like pictures.
Pictures are good. Alright. So, the UCM Atlantis is a battle cruiser. It's 195 points. It's got a 6-inch scan. 6-inch. I'm echoing.
Yeah, I was going to say there was an echo there. Talk again.
Talking.
No, you're fine now.
Okay. Alright. So the UCM Atlantis is a battle cruiser for 195 points. It's got a 6-inch scan and SIG. It's got 8-inch thrust, 14 hull. Its armour is 3 plus. It's got a point defense of 7, grouping of 1, and it's heavy. It has special launch, which will become obvious in a minute, though you can see it there already. It's got 3 bombers and fighters. So, the first 3 weapons are all linked. You've got a UF-4200 mass driver turret on both the left and the right. 4 plus, 2 attacks each, 1 damage each. Linked, as I said. The other one on the front is a 6400, which is 3 plus. It's got 4 attacks, 1 damage. That one is front and side. And there is a last one that's by itself, which is also the same profile. I find it odd that it's got one by itself as well. First, like, why are there some linked and not the other?
I think it shouldn't be the 4200s are linked and the 6400s are linked.
It's not what it says.
Hang on a second. I'm gonna go grab my actual book.
While he does that. Which book did you go for, George? Was it be this one?
My original book, which does no good because they're not linked at all in that book.
Yes, they are. Oh, no, they're not. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, so never mind. I did all that for nothing.
Also, you never even gave me a chance to tell you I had one.
Well, I went and got mine, so man. God.
So yeah, look, that's the first one, and you got your shark missile bays are your close action. They're a lock of 4 plus, DC plus 1, 1 damage each. It's fine. The Atlantis and the Johannesburg are both the same ship. So, I am going to move on to the Avalon, which is the same as the Perth. So, for those that are new to the game, the reason that there are 2 ships that are the same is because there were exclusive sculpts to the Kickstarter initially that you can't get anymore. But they've released new ships that have the same rules, which was always what they were going to do, just for the record. Okay, so the Avalon is also 195 points. 6-inch scan, 6-inch SIG. So this is all the same here, up the top. Except you don't have any launch, you have rare instead, because you're only allowed to have 1 of them. You have linked 4200 mass driver turrets. These are the same as the previous one. So it's a lock of 4 plus, 4 attacks, 1 damage each. Left and right. Those 2 are linked. Then you have a Viper super heavy laser. which is burn through 8, Flash and Bloom. So that's a 3+, 4 attacks, 1 damage each. Front narrow. And the Shark Missile Bays are the same. Personally, this is the one that I prefer. Neither of them are bad, though. But personally, I prefer to take this for the burn through and get my launch from the other ships, personally. It's just that I'd rather, if I'm going to pay big points for the ship, I'd rather be getting more.
Punch a hole with it.
I'd rather punch a hole with it, personally.
And I'm gonna have to agree with that too, with the lock of 4 up and the 2 attacks on the 4200 mass driver turrets on the Johannesburg and Atlantis. Those just don't have quite the same kind of punch. If they're all stats like the 6400, yeah, that'd be a little different.
Yeah.
I still think that's an error where you got the 2 4200s and the 16400 linked, and then the other one is not linked.
It does feel
odd.
I
think there's a typo there.
Either you were right and the 42s and the 64s are supposed to be linked to each other but not together. That feels more right to me. Because at this point, I don't see why you would bother using the all shooting thing. Because you're only getting 1 extra gun. What's the point?
Yeah. That's only, 4 more shots?
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that that's a bit of a typo. Now, I will say this, though. Since we're talking about 2 different sculpts, I think both the Johannesburg, the second sculpt, and the Perth second sculpt for those battlecruisers, I think that the new sculpts for the UCM, I think the new sculpts look better than the original sculpts.
I agree 100%. Which is not to say that the original ones are bad. I just prefer the look of the new ones.
Yeah. I'm going to take a quick yander here as you move on to the Scourge. Because the Scourge are in that same boat, too. The new sculpts for the Scourge battlecruisers far superior to the original sculpts for the Scourge.
So I'm looking at the Basilisk right here. I'm now going to go backwards and show you the Akuma. 100%. Much, much nicer. I love the Akuma so much. Right. So, you got a 6-inch scan for the Akuma. 8-inch sig. 10 inches of thrust. 14 hull. 4+ armor. Excuse me. Point defense of 8. Gripping of 1. It's heavy. It's got stealth and full cloak, which is nasty. Oculus Beam Array is a 3+. It's got 2 attacks. It does 2 damage. And it's front with Scald. I know that surprises a lot of people after all of the discussions we've had about the Scourge.
Would the Scourge have Scald?
I know. It's so unusual for them to have that on every ship. It's kind of their thing. The Oculus Beam Phalanx, they have 2 of them, 1 on each side. 3+ again. This one's 3 attacks, still 2 damage. Also has Scald. And the Plasma Storm is their close action that also has Scald. 3+, D6 + 2, so that's actually a little bit better than the other one. The UCM one, rather. Front, side, and rear. Now, if I go back, I'm going to do the same thing. Get a look at the Manticore there. And then if I go back, you get a look at the Banshee. It's a gorgeous looking ship.
Yeah, again, the new sculpts for the Scourge battlecruisers are far superior to the originals.
Yes. Oh, one thing I missed. The Basilisk or the Akuma is 215 points. The Manticore or the Banshee is 180 points each. I say each, you can only have one of them. Wow. No, you could have more than one. I just don't see.
No, you can have more one of them.
I just don't see why you'd bother. Alright. 6-inch scan, 8-inch thrust. Sorry, 8-inch sig, 10-inch thrust. 14 hull, 4+, so this is all the same as before. Still has stealth, still has full cloak, but this one has launch. You have one Oculus beam array, which is 3+, 2 attack, 2 damage, front with Scald. Plasma Tempest is 3+. It's 2d6 plus 4, so this is much better. Also with Scald, that's your close action. The thing this has, however, is a torpedo. L2 Corruptor. So, personally, in the past I've always chosen to take the Akuma, because in the past the torpedo rules were kind of they have gone through some major rehauls, like we've discussed recently. The committee is still slightly out on them at this point, because they're still kind of being tested and seeing how they work. And there hasn't really been a lot of competitive play, other than the online tournament last year. But it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. If torpedoes turn out to be competitive, then you could see that this might become a player again. But it's a little bit too early to say. I'm a big fan of the Akuma personally. I suspect it's going to take a lot to change that.
Yeah, the games I played, and this is all, you know, like first edition rules and everything like that. The torpedoes were so lackluster when we actually started got into using them and stuff, and it's just and being the Shaltari player and not having torpedoes, I was just like, I was, you know, like, these mechanics are just too clunky for it to be any sort of fun or effective in the game.
Yeah.
That being said, that Plasma Tempest is a vicious weapon.
Oh, hell yes. That's nasty.
If you can get into use it, which it's a full cloak ship, so yes, you can get into use it. There are some close action weapons in the game that are just worse than others. And the Scourge in general, just because they have Scald, they are worse than just in general because of that Scald ability.
If you're playing Scourge and you can get in close, you're going to do a lot of damage. You have to get there is the hard thing. Scourge versus Shaltari is a very hard matchup because they are experts at keeping you away. But in saying that, if you can get up close, you're going to do a lot of damage. You want to be close with the Scourge. It's just how it works.
You have to be close. The other one, yeah, you can reach out and touch them a little bit. I think edge to the first battle cruiser.
Yeah.
For Scourge with all that Oculus.
Shall we move into the PHR then?
Yes, we are moving into the PHR. First up on the list is Nidus and the Agamemnon. Bruce can show you the loveliness of old sculpt versus new sculpt. Lots have probably changed on the rules for these guys with Fusillade and linking and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get into this. First of all, so it is a PHR. It has a scan of 8, sig of 6, thrust of 10, hull of 15, armor of 3 up, point defense 7, grouping of 1, tonnage is heavy. Nothing special about it. It's not special. It's just like us. We aren't special. It does have 4 light caliber batteries, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. These have the special rules of caliber, light, linked of 1, and then fusillade of 3. So all 4 of these fire at the same time with a lock of 5 up, 6 attacks each, 1 damage, like I said, left and right. So that's 12 shots to a side on a 5-up lock. So if I'm remembering caliber light, so that means if it's a light tonnage ship, that means that the lock is a 4 instead of a 5. And
Yep.
what was fusillade again, Bruce?
When a ship uses a weapons free order, fusillade weapon systems add X value to their attack value. So you would get 3 extra attacks.
So that goes from 12 attacks aside to 18 attacks aside.
Yeah.
Then you have the medium caliber broadside. These are actually kind of nasty. They are a lock of 4-up, 8 attacks, 1 damage each. 1 on the left, 1 on the right. Linked 2, so they both fire at the same time. Fusillade of 3. Those are going to do a little more for you because then that is that's 11 shots aside at a 4-up lock. That's pretty decent. And then Hornet drones, 3-up, D3 plus 3, front side rear close action. 185 points.
So for those that are new to Drop Fleet Commander, the whole thing with PHR, if you're not clicking on this yet, is that it's broadside. You want to get in between ships and then fire both ways.
Yes, this is very classic, turn of the century, 1700s, 1800s naval tactics.
So not the easiest fleet to learn with, but potentially one of the most powerful if you can play them properly. You need to be able to have the foresight and the planning to get ahead on this. It's not an army for me, because I struggle with... I don't know, I haven't tried it. I probably shouldn't say that, but I could see myself struggling with these guys personally. I just like to point and shoot.
Next up, we have the Scipio, and it goes over to the other line, the Fram.
Yep.
Some weird mythical hero name. Same stats: scan of 8, signature 6, thrust 10, hull of 15, armor 3-up, point defense 7, groupie of 1, tonnage of heavy. This one is special. It has launch. It has 4 light caliber batteries, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. Same stats of 5-up, 6 attacks, 1 damage each. Fusillade of 3, linked 1, and caliber. So essentially, all the guns on this ship can fire without having to do weapons free. It's pretty decent. Mainly because this is a PHR. It has launch of fighters and bombers. Hands down, the PHR bombers are the best in the game, and you get 4 of them with this ship. They are still the best in the game, right? That hasn't changed. The PHR bombers are pretty dope.
I don't believe that's changed, no.
Okay, so we're going to go off that assumption that the PHR bombers are still the best in the game, and this has 4. 200 points. I don't know if the ship is worth the extra point cost for those 4 bombers. The bombers are good. I'm not a PHR player. I really can't speak intelligently on these ships. I can't speak intelligently in general, so this is just, I personally like the other ones better.
Here's the thing I'm looking at. And I just want to look at a couple more ships. Realistically, I think I'd prefer to go the other way as well.
Yeah. I think there's much better options points-wise for ships, for fighters and bombers.
Get a couple of Icaruses in, you're getting 2 each. I mean, 2 isn't 4, but they're also 115 points, not 200. But it's not so much because you can get your fighters and bombers elsewhere.
Yeah.
But those medium caliber batteries are really good.
The medium caliber batteries are way better.
This is not a bad ship. I just think, bang for your buck, I think you're going to get more out of the other ship.
Here's how I'm going to look at it. Statistically, it's got more hull points than your average ship because it is a battle cruiser. It is PHR, so you have a 3-up armor, not a 4-up or higher like just about every other faction. So you have more hull points, you have better armor. You can take a little more of a beating to get in position, to go weapons free, to get that spike, to unload a whole buttload of dice on multiple targets.
Yeah.
And of
is the
course,
way
with
you
it
wanna
being
play them.
PHR, they are a bit on the faster side compared to Scourge and UCM,
Yeah.
and their signature is on the smaller side too, and their scan is on the higher end. So, statistically, shooting is a better option for you for PHR
Yeah.
than say Scourge. Scourge, you want to get in close and use your skull to weaken the armor to get the damage in. PHR, you can sit back and kind of shoot a little bit.
Yeah.
Not as effectively because you have to get in between and get both sides to really be fully effective. But yeah, I think the battlecruiser carriers for the PHR are the inferior of the two.
I like the other one over this. Well, it's not that I don't like them. I just think with the medium caliber batteries, I think you're going to get more out of it.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. Yeah.
And at the risk of stating the obvious, we're not sitting here and saying that bombers and fighters are not worth it. We know this game well enough to know that they are worth it. All we're saying is that we think you're better off taking them from other places so that you can get the better stuff on this. Last up is the faction that you know nothing about, apparently.
I know absolutely nothing about, and so with that, I'm going to talk about the Adamant and the battle cruisers. Again, two different sculpts. That being said, though, I think the original sculpt is superior to the new sculpt. Because if you look at the Shaltari ships, the way they're designed, the Adamant and the Palladium make more sense than the Ruby and the Sapphire because it's just the wing section that has the weapon and they put 4 on instead of 2 on or 3 or whatever. So I think this ship makes much more sense for the look than the new battlecruiser. That being said, though, let's get into the battlecruisers here. The Adamant and the other Ruby. 12-inch scan, 3-inch sig with shield, 16-inch sig with shields, thrust of 10 inches, hull of 13, armor of 5 up, 4 up, 5 without shields, 4 with shields, point defense of 9, groupie of 1, tonnage heavy, nothing special about it. 2 disintegrator bank batteries, side left, side right, all hit the front, lock of 3 up, 4 attacks, 1 damage each, nothing special about it. Here's the change they've made. Particle lance pair, 3 up, 2 damage, 2 attacks, 2 damage each. Front narrow, particle fusillade 2. So if you go weapons free, that's 4 shots. Mm-hmm. So back in the day, it was particle lance. So that was 4 shots. But they were individual. So you had the weapons free to shoot both.
4 shots, you just have to go weapons free to get it.
Right. Which, let's be honest, a ship like this, you are going to go weapons free because as cool as particle lances are of, oh, hey, look, you don't get an armor save, take your damage, the disintegrator bank is still the far superior weapon with that 3-up lock and the 4 attacks. You're gonna get crits, you're gonna get more hits. It is a lock of 3 up, so statistically 2/3 of your dice roll are gonna hit and cause damage, and you have more dice.
Yeah,
it's not gonna help Bruce any, but for the average person, it will help.
Yeah. So, for those that are wondering what part the particle rule is, weapon systems with this rule always inflict critical hits if the
always
value of their attack.
No armor save.
So for everybody that's not me, yeah, you're gonna do well.
Except for against other Shaltari ships, because shields stay, you always get a roll regardless if it's critical.
Yes.
So, next we have the Palladium and the Sapphire. So this is probably one of the craziest battlecruisers in the game, and it has to do purely with the weapon system. So again, 12-inch scan, 3-inch sig without, 16 sig with shields, thrust of 10, hull 13, 5-up save without shields, 4-up save with shields, point defense 9, groupie of 1, tonnage of heavy, nothing special about the ship either. But, and we're going to go to we're kind of going to do this in reverse order. Oh, did I talk about the? Did I? Hold on a second. I might have forgot something. Okay, I did forget to mention the close action, so we'll go ahead and mention the close action on the Palladium Sapphire. It's the same for both ships. It's a 4-up, 3 attack, 1 damage each, front, side, rear, close action. Cool. Then we're going to go to the gravity coils, because this is a fairly unique weapon that it's a little underutilized. So you have gravity coils, 2-up block, 2 attacks, 1 damage each, front and arrow, impel of 2. If you hit with both your shots, that means you get to turn the ship that you're shooting at. I think, is it a 45 or a full 90-degree turn?
I think it depends on the value. I think with the 2, I think it means 90. I'm just trying to look it up.
Well, the impel only works.
While I check.
Yeah, the impel only works as if you hit with both the shots. If you hit with one shot, can't do it.
Here we go. If firing player inflicts X damage after saving throws have been taken with a weapon, you may turn the target up to 45 degrees. So you would have to do at least 2 damage before you can do it.
Yep, so you have to hit with both shots. You have to deal 2 damage. And then against a PHR player, you can really ruin their day by giving their ship an extra 45-degree turn they don't want. That being said, the impel is only on this battlecruiser and a light cruiser. I will tell you this right now. I have 0 light cruisers built out of all of my ships for Sheltari. That being said, I do have 2 Palladiums, so I could do some stuff with it. I mainly have the Palladiums just because of the next weapon system and a light cruiser and just a cruiser and a heavy cruiser available to the Sheltari. The Ion Orbs. The first one is the Ion Storm, which is the Sheltari Bombardment. That's a 2-up block, 4 damage, 1 damage, front, side, rear, bombardment, alt 1. Alt means it's the same weapon, it has 2 different firing. The next one is the one I really like, the Ion Aura. It's a 3-up block, D6 plus 3, 1 damage, front, side, rear, close action, beam. Now, if I remember correctly, beam also means no countermeasures
I will tell
for point defense. If I remember correctly.
Beam. It's not there. Why is it not there? That's weird.
I'm just going to assume I'm correct. Beam means you don't get to use point defense.
I just point to assume that you're correct unless I can find it.
I will flip through my rules here too, because there's 2 Sheltari ships that have close action as their main weapon, and they both have beam. And I remember the microwave array for the frigate was just
close action beam weapons obey all normal rules for close action except 1. Point defenses cannot be used.
Yeah, so all your point defense means nothing to this weapon. So here's what's great about the Sheltari Palladium. And what are the other ones called? You get into scan range. That's what you have to be in for close action. So if you have a spike, that counts towards no, it's just pure scan range. Yeah, never mind. So it's just pure scan range. So for Sheltari 12 inches, that's a huge scan range. So you get in there and you fire the Iron Aura as close action because that doesn't count as a weapon system. You fire Harpoon Cascade because that's also a close action, and then you fire your gravity coils to turn them. And you've done all of that without having to go weapons free and building an extra spike on your ship, and you still have your signature of 3.
Yeah, that's nasty.
So you team that up with the other bombardment ion sphere ships the Sheltari have. and you can wreck someone's world really quick. Now, point difference 200 to 185. The adamant ruby battlecruisers, I think, are the far superior because they are the big shooter. Those disintegrator banks are absolutely nasty, especially when you get a lot of them rolling dice. I have pretty much almost one turn taken out a battleship with an Onyx heavy cruiser. So,
yeah.
Now that being said, though, you get yourself a Palladium and the other ships with those ion weapon systems, and you sit on a system. No one's getting close to it.
Yeah, no, not at all.
No one is getting close to it. Because you can sit there and just be like, I'm going to shoot everything and not get any spikes. Your big ships can't shoot at me because I have a signature of 3. So
the only person that would have a chance would be the Scourge, and they'd have to get there first. And you'd want to hope.
Well, they'd have to get into their range. Yeah, they'd have to get into range for their skull to be effective with their stuff.
Mm.
And the Shaltari scan for their close action is the same as a lot of other people's just shooting range with their scan.
Yep.
And the SIG and everything. What's the Scourge scan? 6 inches?
Yes.
So 6 inches plus the scan. The Scourge 6-inch scan plus this ship's 3 inch signature is 9 inches. That's for a regular shooting weapon at range. Yeah. This ship has more range on its close action. So,
yeah.
But I have to give it to the more expensive ship just because disintegrator banks, particle lances. Yeah.
Now, the big thing that we spoke about earlier in this series was that I was deliberately leaving the battlecruisers till last. The reason that I did this is because in the past, point for point, the battlecruisers were worth more to you than the dreadnoughts and the battleships, etc., etc., etc.
Except for a Shaltari player.
Where the diamond was still
the diamond was the absolute ship that you had to take because it erased ships in a turn.
Yeah. Would you say that was still the case now? I'm not entirely convinced that it is completely the case. I'd probably still take these. If for me, it's going to come down to what else is going to be in the ship. So what else is going to be in the fleet? I mean, these are definitely up there amongst the needs, but I'm not entirely convinced that you would take these and ignore everything else anymore.
So, having not played the game for so long, I can only fully speak to my experience with the Shaltari.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this right now. The diamond with the fusillade change to the particle lance triad, I think it's just the tiniest bit of change in the aim because you could sit back with that triad and just snipe no problem, or you go weapons free, you erase ships.
Yeah.
When you weapons free, it doesn't matter. It's the same ship as it was pre-rules, pre-changes. So the diamond is still a take over all the battle cruisers for the Shaltari, and then you put in battle cruisers where you can. I personally still think the Onyx and the I can't get standby. I have to look up what it's called. That's the same thing. Why am I?
George cannot brain.
I cannot brain. I am potato.
So, Onyx...
The amber and the Onyx. I think the amber and the Onyx are still the workhorses for the Shaltari because you weapons free those things and you erase ships. You have multiple targets. They have a slight advantage of you. What's that? Distortion bubble. Hull 9. So no, the Onyx can distortion bubble. the amber cant distortion bubble. So I mean, there's lots of nuances with the Shaltari. I think the battle cruisers are still, for a majority of the fleets, like the Scourge. I don't see how you can not take, what is it, the Akuma?
Oh, the Akuma, you have to take the Akuma. There's no question about that.
I think the Akuma. I think the Akuma is the most important ship in the Scourge arsenal still, just because it's a full cloak. Yeah. It has those great weapons. You can get it with that full stealth into range to scald something and then unload weapons free with all those weapens.
You can actually get there. That's the thing.
Yeah,
this is the ship you can get there.
Yeah, I think the Akuma is the most important ship for the Scourge, or the Basilisk too. The Akuma just looks 1,000 times better.
Also, you can get it.
You can't. Well, yeah, like
Sam
does have a Basilisk, but yeah, yeah, you can't get those anymore. The UCM. It's more how you want to play the UCM is what's more important. Do you want to have one big massive dreadnought and then a bunch of little support ships, or do you want to have a bunch of mid-sized ships that you have to focus on a turn to take out, or it's what play style? I think the battle cruisers are less important now for a UCM player than they used to be. The Avalon, right? The huge beam ship, right?
Yeah.
That was the ship before the battleships were launched. That was the big ship you took because it had the burn through 8 laser. The PHR were never an important battleship battle cruiser. Of all the games I played, all the PHR players I ever talked to were just like, I don't want a battle cruiser. I want a battleship, or I want all these heavy frigates, or not heavy frigates, heavy cruisers.
Numbers.
So, just the numbers, and some of those PHR cruisers, they were much more effective, not effective. You felt less bad about only getting your right side shots to hit something, and the left side not being used, because it was only 112 point ship versus 200 points. For the more expensive a PHR ship, the more important it is to get all the shots on target. And when you have solid left and right sides, you got to get all those shots on target. And the PHR, it's super hard to do.
Yeah.
A cheaper ship where you only get half the shots on, you're still getting good value of that ship. The battle cruisers, you had to get all those shots on. And that's hard to do. That's why the Dark Matter Canyon battleship is the better choice, because you point the ship and shoot.
Yeah.
And you hit.
The other advantage of taking the cheaper ships is that you have more of them. And if your if your enemy reacts in a way that you didn't anticipate, you still have more chances to be able to get where you want to be. Less shots but more reliability tend to work more in the favour of people.
Yeah.
Unless you're really good at reading your opponent.
Yeah. So, Scourge, Shaltari, the battle cruisers are important ships. They are always a take in the list, I think, if you have room for them.
Yeah.
Shaltari, you take the Diamond, then you take the battle cruisers, then you take, disintegrator banks. That's what you want for the Shaltari list. If anyone disagrees with me, I'll fight you. The Scourge, the Akuma, Basilisk, those are the two most important ships in that list. The UCM and PHR, the battle cruisers are less important. It's more how you want to play. And the PHR, they are the least important ship. What's that light cruiser for the PHR?
Oh, God knows.
I know, I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yes, especially when I literally just closed the page
down. That was my plan the whole time, Bruce. Battle. Can I have it?
What does it do?
I can't remember.
Is it
I don't know
laser?
because I can't remember the name, so I'm just gonna have to flip through my book real quick.
So I'm looking at the light chips, but without
The
knowing what
Orions.
you're looking at.
I
What?
think the Orion and
So the
the
Orion
Orion,
also
the
has
Icarus.
those medium caliber broadsides.
Yeah, the Orion and the Icarus. I think those are the most important ships for the PHR. Not the battle cruisers. Not even heavy cruisers. Just a Vanguard cruiser and a cruiser.
Yeah, I could see that because you've got the medium caliber batteries, and you've still
Because
got the option
you
to
got all
shoot
the medium calibers on the Orion, and then you have the medium calibers and the fire and bomber launch on the Icarus. I think those are much more important ships for the PHR than a battle cruiser. And that's where I think that the true awesomeness of the game is the fact that each faction has a different strength, in their tonnage of ships.
Yeah. So the reason I wanted to pose this question is because originally, when we first went through all of this, realistically, there was only one way that you was going to do anything. That's just the way that the game was. But it would appear, it would appear that that's no longer the case of the game. You actually have options now that are still worth taking, which is good. There's only good things that come from that. It's brilliant to see. So, upcoming events?
Yes, upcoming events. The one that you hate.
Upcoming events.
You said you were going to fix it. All right.
I
The
can still
big one
fix
that
it.
we found out about this week is Warhammer Fest is happening online. That doesn't really surprise me. But the big surprise is that it starts tomorrow. Well, sorry. It starts on Monday, but it's Monday UK time. So it'll be Tuesday for me. So that's happening all week.
If you listen to this today after we're done recording and we get it up, you'll know about this in time.
Yes. So, Monday is Age of Sigmar. Tuesday is 40k. Wednesday is Black Library. Thursday is Boxed Games, so that could mean anything. Friday is 40k, because apparently they have a lot to do. And we don't know anything about Saturday. I'm going to make a prediction now. I suspect that Saturday is going to be Old World. That's just my guess. Because it's probably time for them to show something.
Yeah.
I just don't see... It seems time that we would see something from that now. Moving on. Just a reminder, UK Games Expo is in July. Friday, July 31st until Saturday, August 1st. Gen Con is September 16th till 19th. However, there is an event that was cancelled recently. Crisis 2021 is no longer happening. I am literally going to read their post. So this is something on Michelle's side of the world. But I'm literally just going to read this because I think this is kind of about how certain people are feeling about how things are going. Crisis 2021 update. It is with great regret that we have to announce that Crisis 2021 will not be happening. The pandemic situation without clear view on what will be possible in November, under which conditions such as how many will be allowed through the door, will there be a possibility to organise, what kind of shows, and let's face it, social distancing is not happening at all. not without any travelling, will be able. Not knowing if any travelling will be able. The person that's writing this English is not their first language, so just keep in mind. Will catering be possible? But basically what he's saying here is that because they can't answer any of these questions, they can't organise an event because they don't know what they can do. Brexit also has a giant question mark over everything, which is going to affect things in ways that we still don't know. So they've just made the decision to cancel things, and they're hoping for 2022, just simply because what's supposed to be happening is not happening on that side of the world. It's not happening in the US either. The only benefit is that your vaccines are being rolled out much faster in your end of the world than they are most others. It is what it is. I can't really say I blame the guy. I mean, I get it. If you're not sure, you don't want to host an event and then feel like you're somehow responsible for everybody getting sick if that's what ends up happening. I'm not saying you would, but that's clearly the concern. Because if something like that happened, it would probably kill the event forever. Especially given that it's this is a small event. This is not a Gen Con or something like that. This is like Conflu is already a problem, let alone with things going on. So disappointing to hear, but it will be back in 2022. So it's not the end of the world. And finally, PAX Australia is still happening, and this man is still going. October Friday 8th until Sunday the 10th. I will, between now and then, try to organise some things to be happening at the event. Whether it falls on a recording weekend, I don't know. But if it does, then you guys will record without me.
We should be able to figure that out because I created a reoccurring calendar instance for myself.
I know, it just doesn't matter.
See, this is October 8th. So, no, that is not a recording weekend.
I don't miss out then. So,
and quite frankly, if it was a recording weekend, we would do a recording with you while you're wandering around on the console. You could be like, "Oh my god, look at this cool thing!"
No, you wouldn't, because you wouldn't hear a word I said.
Oh, yeah, you'd be so gobsmacked and just be like, "Ugh." We could understand.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to add, Dodge?
No, there's nothing else I'd want to add, but I would like to add, thank you again for listening to Getting Tabled. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/gettingtabled. $2 a month.
Yes, $2 a month.
$2 a month is all you need to support us with to get early access to the content that we deem as it needs to be early accessed. Some of the stuff that Bruce cons Casey into doing to torment me with is not early access. That's always released to mock me as soon as possible. Majority of our stuff you can find on facebook.com/gettingtabled. And of course, if you go to YouTube and search Getting Tabled, we are like most of the results.
Yes. At least 80% of the videos go early access. Every video edition of this podcast goes early access, just to make it more clear.
Yeah, what he said. And we'll post up all the stuff as we're doing this on our Facebook page for the podcast and the YouTube. If you got questions, comments, concerns, questions, or anything for us, you want to like talk to us for some reason, you can email us these inquiries at gettingtabled@gmail.com, Twitter, Instagram at gettingtabled. As I get prepared to start trying to do stuff, motivate myself, I will make an attempt to post up on these sites. And of course, repository for all of the stuff after we've gotten it posted and it's archived is gettingtabled.weebly.com. If you want to, yeah, I thought I'd do it for once and I'll play this for the, then we can have alternating ones of, us sounding like idiots reading the thing and just pushing a button while we, sit here and go like, like a ventriloquist throwing his voice.
Yeah, something like that.
Also, all of this little superfluous talk right here is going to be part of that bumper, including that.
I guess we'll have to make sure there's a major good person reading it next time.
Oh, good one.
Press the thing.
Done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Table. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Mataris at soundimage.org.
Play more games.
Wait, we gotta do this one. Do the thing, Bruce. You did it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, we're gonna leave this in, and I'm just gonna show you a picture because it will jog so many memories. I have to find it first. You ready, Bruce? You ready?
You're gay!